Commissioner Flores, thank you for being here and thank you for your service to our country. I am blessed to represent the beautiful community of El Paso, Texas, and I'm a native, born and raised there, raised my children there, and my constituents recognize the importance of our land ports of entry. I think frequently Congress does not. You know, we get a lot of visitors from across the country who parachute in, they visit the border, take their selfies, leave. When I have folks visit the border, I always include our land ports of entry because they are key to our commerce, to our national economy. But what I have heard long before I was in Congress from my neighbors, friends, et cetera, who work for CBP is how understaffed our OFO personnel are. And it's been a chronic issue. It precedes my time in Congress, as I mentioned. And the staffing model, I think, needs to be reconfigured. And we need to think about different things in a new staffing model, including, for example, the El Paso sector, where one land port of entry is probably about 45 minutes away from another land port of entry. And when you're shifting personnel, we've got to take that timing into consideration. I was so proud to have supported the bipartisan infrastructure law, which has funding for a port modernization, the Bridge of the Americas, in the central part of my community. And as we increase POV traffic there, I again come back to thinking about staffing. And again, Congress frequently focuses on Border Patrol and the border when it comes to CBP. I would like to hear from you. How do we address our chronic understaffing with OFO?
Congresswoman, thank you for the question. So our workload staffing model is something we've developed now over several years, and it's been validated. I think to your point in regards to taking into consideration the time and distance of some of our locations is an important aspect and something that we're trying to ensure that it is incorporated into the workload staffing model. Current workload staffing model for OFO, at least the last numbers I saw, I believe, had them 5,000 people short based on current workload that the last time we did the assessment. So it's a validation tool for us on what the workload is. So agree that operationally, like the Border Patrol, Office of Field Operations is also short of the men and women performing the job at the ports of entry. And as you're well aware, in regards to the economics of what happens at a ports of entry in regards to daily travel, commuter travel, commercial trucks coming across the border, right? There's high value in what that is coming across the border. We continue to make process improvements as with your support and the committee support in regards to what additional staffing looks like. We continue to make operational improvements to help alleviate some of the stress of ports of entry in regards to technologies and way forward. Simplified entry was a great example of what we did in regards to being able to expedite traffic. As we look at trusted traveler and trusted trader programs, we have FAST and we have global entry, right? We have Sentry and those type of programs that today account for about 16 million people registered into those type of programs. So trying to expedite crossings across the border as we wait for additional staffing, hopefully, and funding for that to be able to fill some of those spots that we have, both in the passenger environment and in the cargo environment along all our ports of entry in the U.S.
Commissioner, would you commit to working with me on assuring that we have enough OFO personnel at our land ports of entry?
Will do, yes.
Okay,
yes,
perfect. I'd also like to work with you on Trusted Traveler because that is a high source of complaints from members of my community, including very well-respected members of the business community to, all sorts of folks from all walks of life. That program, when that privilege is revoked, it's like a black box. People can't get answers. So I'd like to work with you on that as well. I'm running out of time. I have one final question that is really important to me. We've seen the administration use members of our active duty military on the U.S.-Mexico border. How much training and how long is the training for Border Patrol, just very quickly, before they engage in border operations?
So the academy itself, I believe it's about 6 months.
And they get all sorts of really in-depth training. How much training do our active duty military get before they're put on border enforcement? Do you know?
So I'd have to leave that up to DOD, but I know based on my experience and over my career, we've had DOD at the border ever since I can remember.
Well,
in
aside
regards
from the Joint Task Force, I'm talking about the recent operations,
Right.
where we're literally putting military personnel on the border to act as enforcement personnel. Do you know how much training they get?
So we do some cross-training with DOD personnel when they come on board in regards to relationship of what we're doing. And then they obviously, DOD does their own training before.
and do you
but
know how-
I don't know how much training DOD is
It's
doing.
literally only hours, a few hours. And so I need to publicly express again my profound concern and alarm at the administration's decision to use military assets, military installations, and now active duty military for border enforcement. So thank you so much again. Look forward to working with you on Trusted Traveler and on ensuring that we have an adequate number of OFO personnel at our land ports. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.